Hi, welcome to my live stream. Um, this is really exciting for me because I have had this urge to do a 24-hour live stream for a while. Both in celebrating my books and just read them and banter and talk and be inspired for many hours at a time. As well, now I have an even bigger purpose. This is celebrating, I've decided to start a publishing company, and it's all about poetry. There's gonna be more to it, but the main point is to I offer coaching programs, and this is like life coaching. So as long as you've heard of that or experienced, I'm sure you have. Life coaching is helping people to, you know, be inspired, stay on track, work towards their goals. As a coach, I hold people accountable for achieving what it is that they want to be achieving. So I personally do that through writing practice. So that's including journaling, poetry writing. Um, that's the core of it. That's the core of it. Myself, I really started this journey about 5 years ago. In 2020, I know, everybody's mental health kind of went somewhere in 2020. Mine especially hit. I and it was before the pandemic, all this was building up on me. So I really needed to go into journals and work out traumas that were never fully addressed. One being particularly a really awful roommate that I had had about a year, around a year prior, I guess, is when I had moved out of there. Um, and but I had lived with her for some months before that, so I don't know. That whole journey was a while. Anyway, when I moved across the country and I went far away from her and from that situation, I found that I was still living in this muck in my head. All the stuff that was still hanging around that I couldn't let go of at all. And eventually I had to stop talking about the things that were going on with me and I had to write, go into a journal and just write everything that was stuck in there. And it was a journey. It was an absolute journey. Um, and there's so much that you can reveal to yourself when you get into in this writing mode, when you tune into, you tune out all of the other distractions and things in your life, and then you get to feel into everything else that is bothering you. It comes out through the pen. So through that journey, I essentially wrote a book and I have typed it up and it's going to become a book. I believe I titled it already, Sweet Eyes Between Mirrors. So, however, I did put that project aside and I focused on poetry since then. So also throughout 2020, I wrote a lot of poetry. And with the encouragement of my father, I end up going ahead and writing my first book, which I called Chaos of Tao. That was a collection of poetry that I wrote all throughout that year. So it kind of there's a sort of loose narration and timeline to all the poems that are in that book. Does kind of tell a story, and it tells the story of who I was in those moments in my own state of consciousness, what I was discovering and learning. The interesting thing is then I was so for quite some time, I was getting into Buddhism and Taoism and stuff. I Instead of addressing my true emotions and what's actually going on with me, I, turned a lot of what these things were just into philosophical thought. The intelligent, the rational, the logical part of the brain that can assess certain things. But then I moved so far away from the emotional that things just didn't get processed. So that's where the writing journey began, but also a lot of poetry happened. All of it was healing for me. So all of that is to say that in Peacock Poetry Publishing, there are different routes that you can take when it comes to doing my coaching programs. We can do a focus or we can allow whatever is meant to come through. But the idea is that I will be publishing these, what I'm going to call shadow work memoirs, which is what I was doing with going through my traumas and that whole story. And I will also be publishing poetry books. So the coaching is to, well, help inspire and engage writers, keep them accountable and keep them doing what it is that they want to do, because there's a lot of people who love writing or want to love writing and either just don't do it because they don't make time for it, they don't have the confidence for it, they think that they're just not very good, and then they'll give it up. So my job is to encourage and engage you and keep you accountable to doing these things that you actually really want to do. So that's what goes on in the coaching programs and medicinal writing sessions that you can do as kind of say one-offs. Um, and and then there's also going to end up being a writer's membership within Poetry Publishing, because that will be a way for me to you'll get to actually hang out with me intentionally live every week, and I can give you prompts and we can inspire each other really, and have this engaged community of writers who honestly want to help encourage each other out. Or, I mean, if it's for selfish reasons because you need that push and you want a group of people, fantastic. But that's going to emerge through the publishing company as well. So my crazy 24-hour live stream is to let you know about all these things that I'm doing with the publishing company. Like, I'm taking the coaching part very seriously. Like, you're not going to just be able to produce that book if you don't have the encouragement and the support coming from somebody like me. And, well, you know what? I'm a really nice presence to have around as a writer. At least so they say, that I have quite a calming and comfortable presence to me. So if that could be enough for you to want to work with me or have sessions, and maybe you just need to get to know me more. So why don't I just sit here and read you a little bit of poetry, and we'll see where that goes. Hang out with me, have fun. I'm a poet. I sing, I do music, I do readings, etc. and etc.